Hi Sondre, it's a great pleasure to see you today in the studio alive because this work from home reality have been depriving us from this pleasant eye contact, so I'm happy to see you today.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, and I want to know more about Svenn.
Yeah, it's the one tool that every craftsman needs. It's the tool that digitizes them, so that means today they do a lot of paperwork in the fields. For instance, timesheets, checklists, making sure they follow regulations. What we're doing is putting that in the app, in a nutshell.
Thank you so much. You were so sharp.
Yeah, that's good.
And short.
Yeah, that's always a thing because you start talking and then you're kind of falling out of it. So.
Okay, so you saw the main pain points, of the industry, and why is Svenn so unique for the construction market?
Well, we have competitors as many other digital products. What really distinguishes Svenn from others is our ability to make very easy products. Because these people aren't used to technology at all, so you got to make it the simplest possible and going to be able to use new technology to really catch the data that you need without them having to do so much effort around it. So our ability to make apps that's really user-friendly and also using new technologies has been our key competitive edge, especially in the beginning.
And how do you help the amazing craft businesses start? And which features actually help them to grow their business efficiently?
Yeah, so many businesses come to us right after starting their company. So maybe a month or two in, they realize that they're having troubles, especially new generations such as us. They start with typical time tracking their time, because they sell their hours and they sell their materials that they buy in. That's how they run their business. And if not able to track that data in a simple way, they're not able to make a living out of it. So when they're doing everything on paper, it takes a lot more effort.
Messy.
Very messy, very messy. And same with materials as well. So we track the materials they're using and then we're able to they invoice better and be more professional for their end customer.
Okay, I understand. And as far as you're concerned, you had a previous experience with outsourcing.
Yeah.
At the very beginning of Svenn, and you were struggling to find the appropriate stack of solutions and techs to help your company grow.
Yeah.
And could you please mention the reasons why you decided to change the vendor?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot about talents, isn't it? So finding talent in the tech industry is really hard in itself, especially working in Norway, which is a small labor market. So we realized pretty fast that are we supposed to scale this up? We need to offshore this or go to other countries to get help. Relevant was a pretty obvious option for us since you were able to challenge us in our opinions. That's something one of our values is to be open-minded and take praise and criticism the same way. And Relevant was able to do that. So after much considerations with other companies as well, we ended up with that. So.
And what were the significant disadvantages that you faced with other vendors before?
Mainly ability to scale, the technology stack itself, lack of documentation. So the whole the professional setup has been better with Relevant from the beginning.
I want to know more about Svenn. How did you start it? Tell us more about it.
Svenn started with me working with a construction company myself. That was done around 8 years ago now. So I worked there one summer, typical summer job, what you do in Norway when you're, I was going to say little, but don't have anything to do for a summer. And I was working with these people. We were great with the craftsmanship, great with creating products with their hands, great at wowing their own customers, but really bad at running a business. And that's when I see where digitalization and helping these people could be really beneficial. And that's kind of the starting point for Svenn.
And talking about the market research, when you've done your market research and you shaped up the ICP profile, you had to make a special, really important decision how to break into the market efficiently. What was your first marketing strategy at the very beginning?
Well, the marketing strategy for us, the turning point was realizing what kind of companies we need to talk to. Because construction industry belongs to as about 3.5 million companies in Europe, huge market, one of the biggest markets in terms of number of companies. You can't market to all of them, so you need to find your niche, be best at that from a product point of view, and then you need to find the tactics of reaching what we call early adopters. And they are often digital, so we've been using obviously content marketing. We've been able to experiment with programmatic, and the mix between that has really given us the success we need to reach those early adopters in our segment.
Okay, so you advise the other newcomers to test before focus just only one market.
Yes, okay. Testing is really important, and then once you kind of have the formula for it, then it's kind of easy to scale it up, especially across new markets.
Okay, and how is your marketing strategy look like these days, like in this year?
Well, we are spending a lot of time creating valuable content, so same way as you are doing, to reach potential customers. And I think that's the key, because people are changing their buying behaviors in a way that you need to build trust before asking for something. And we have a huge success with that. Mm-hmm. So we give out part of our product for free. We give out a lot of the content or the IP that we sit on. And we give out to carpenters because they need the help. We build that trust, and then we be the obvious solution for them when they're thinking about digitalization.
And how do you find the special things you should change from year to year? What kind of research do you use to find out the new flow that is more comfortable for your customers?
Yeah, well, that's always about measuring the right things. So both in terms of brand awareness, how our brand are doing overall, but also conversion rates, right? Yeah. So figuring out what part of the funnel actually works, and what we like to call the black funnel, which is the funnel you don't know about, because it's usually 7 to 8 points of touch points, before they actually convert to a customer. So it's, as marketers, you like to analyze everything, but that way it doesn't really work, because you reach them on different platforms and you got to be able to see the whole picture, and that's that picture we're trying to create. Okay,
so you imply different factors to see how it works differently, Yes. If you can catch the other part of the prospects that you didn't mention in the very beginning,
Yeah, that's true. So it's about the whole picture, and then we're changing the marketing strategies based on that.
And if I'm not mistaken, we are working with Svenn for about 5 years,
Yes,
that's quite a period.
This is a long time.
And what primer values you can highlight at Svenn that you developed during 5 years of collaboration?
Yeah. Internal company has been developing a lot. It's always hard when you work with outsourcing in a way to get your company culture and your values over to a different company. Yeah. That's really what's on our mind now. So making our valuable resources here and developers realize what the good things about working with Svenn. And that's been a journey along the way. So it's taken us 5 years to realize who we are. We've gotten some gray hairs along the way. So,
wow.
So now is the time to kind of communicate all these values to the amazing team down here, and trying to create one entity instead of being two different companies.
Okay, I feel you.
That's really important for us now.
And what plans do you have for the future year and further years?
Yeah. From a marketing perspective, we're doing new markets in general. So we kind of expanding our market to, for instance, UK. So what we're doing now is testing those markets, hiring also some salespeople to actually take those sales leads, as well as adjusting the product to fit those markets. That's one important thing.
And why did you choose UK?
We have some customers there before. So that's kind of the first thing. And secondly, we see that the trends are kind of where we were in the Nordics around 5 years ago. So we see the same trends happening now with digitalization in the construction industry. We see bigger companies using new digital tools. And we also know that our segment is going to take those after a while. And we think that this is the right timing for that.
So Ole, Christopher, it's really it's a great honor for us to see you today here, to have you on our interview, and we would love you to introduce yourself to our readers and followers because they want to know you more, like deeper, and maybe you can tell what valuable function you do for Svenn and what do you do for your company to make it special and grow faster.
Absolutely. Do you want me to start or?
Well, first of all, I got to say thank you for having us. It's a great honor to be here as well. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. You can start.
Yeah. Yes, I'm working as the VP of product. So my main responsibility is actually to find out where the product is heading, right? So now we had focus on time tracking, but now we're moving into another direction. So we want to be like the company for project management. So that's kind of my focus area, to kind of manage the product and also manage the technology and the team here in Ukraine. So that's basically my role.
That's great, thank you. And what about you, Christopher?
Yeah, so I'm working really closely with Oli. I primarily focus on integrations and more of the larger use cases that we have for more complicated businesses and bigger businesses. So whenever our main core product can't do the job, then I enter the stage and try to figure out a solution for the customers. So it's a really tight collaboration.
As I understood that at the very beginning of the company, before our collaboration with your collaboration with Relevant, you had like some special needs to cover with outsourcing. Mm-hmm. And after you left your previous vendor, what you wanted us to help you with? What did you need help with?
I think first of all it was new technology, right? Because we had this very old tech stack. So we just need to kind of scratch all of that and kind of get some new fresh eyes on the technology. So that was the first thing. The second thing was we needed someone that could actually challenge our reviews, right? Because we know some technology, but we're not kind of professionals. So we needed some professional that could actually guide us in the right direction and also challenge our reviews. So that was very important with the vendor that we did choose, and that was relevant.
Okay, so you do not have the tech specialist in your internal team?
No.
And who is in your team? Like marketing experts and business development?
Yes,
and
so a lot of salespeople. Also, it's all about the management, like in strategy. And I'm running kind of the UX and kind of the product tweaks, like on doing the product decisions. But we don't have any kind of very specialist inside Svenn on the technology.
And how did you manage the communication between two teams, like in different companies? Was it complicated at the very beginning?
It's been a journey, you can say that, yeah. So in the beginning, we didn't really have any kind of set structure. We didn't have any ways of actually building that communication, and we're still struggling with it. But it's coming along really greatly, and we kind of feel like the last year, we could say, or 2 years, we've really found a way of collaborating with the team here that's working really well. And I think that one of the most huge or the biggest benefactors of that has been actually having the discussions. How can we improve both ways? Because it's not like we're the demanding customer. It's like both ways are actually the demanding customer, because we're just equally dependent on relevant, really.
And what features do you use to manage this communication? Maybe you use some special, I don't know, platforms or something that helps you to keep the process
do the communication
fixed.
Yeah. So we always use Slack. Yeah. So that was a very important part of the communication tools that we're using. And before we had this fixed projects, so that meant that we only had communication with the project manager, and we didn't have a close communication with the developers. But then we did see the benefit of kind of having close collaboration with both QA and the developers. And when we kind of did gather everyone in the Slack channel, then the communication was very good. So that's kind of be a success for us to kind of have very tight communication all the way.
That's great, thank you. So you can advise this to the other
Absolutely.
newcomers.
I think that's key. And as I told Christopher a year ago, we actually have better communication with the team here in Ukraine than we have by other vendors in Norway, right? So the communication is not part of, but is essential for our success.
Yeah.
It impacts everything, actually.
Really.
Yeah, and talking about the research that we provided you with, like Relevant provided you with the business analysts, and they made a special research for you, an analysis. And what significant implementations did you make after this research?
I think it started in the start. We had this time tracking, right? And then they kind of question, is the time tracking is it like for everyone, or should you kind of focus a little? So then I think that started some processes, and now we're kind of into the construction, and it's not about time tracking at all. It's all about kind of quality craftsmen and deliver good products there. So I think there were some small research and some good question along the way that kind of triggered something that was kind of like what's called snowball is rolling, right?
Okay, I understand. Quite exhausting, yeah?
Yeah.
What specific problems did you have with the feature stack while you tried to change it? Did you have some problems with user experiences, feedback, or something? And how did you address those problems?
So kind of the main problem is that we are working with this segment and target users that are not technical at all. So they need very simple solutions. So that's kind of the main problem we're trying to solve, to make it very easy. And I will say that in the start, that's kind of the reason we had success, because we do not have all the features that our competitors have, but we're able to kind of break the things that they understand and break it kind of down into small chunks and make a product that we called 10 times better. So that feature is 10 times better, and then we now just need to take that kind of philosophy and do it with new features so that we can scale the company.
And you can actually see that a lot of customers are actually willing to sacrifice the feature-wide, the offering of the features that our competitors have, just for the ease of use that you actually get with the solution that we have. So it's been a really interesting journey, because we understand that actually having features that solve a problem, that's more valuable than having solving all the problems, because then there is always going to be workarounds where you can solve other problems, but as long as you tackle the most important ones and you do that really well, that's going to be more valuable for the customer in the end.
Christopher, and what specific challenges you faced while changing some processes that connected with management and communications? Like you applied some changes to the feature stack, and how do you address those changes to your customers to keep them?
Do you mean the features of the product?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it's actually really interesting, because when we first built the first product that we built was full of features, and we said one of the features that we're going to have is going to be essential and a game changer for us was going to be the invoicing feature, and we spent so much time nailing that feature and getting that right, and then we realized when we launched it that it didn't really deliver any value at all.
Why?
And it was basically because we didn't understand the dynamics of how it works with the other system. Like Oli said earlier, the integrations part, it's huge. And it's so important to have that data flow all the way. So we had like a decoupling there, where we had the invoicing feature, but it didn't go into the accounting system, and that kind of stopped the user from actually getting any value out of it. So that's one of the things that you're actually asking about right there, is how we can, take out those features again, and then just say to the customer, sorry, we messed up, and we need to apologize for that, and here's the product that you're actually going to get some value from, and we're going to take that out for you.
And it's all about also iteration on the product, right? Because you launch it and think everyone is happy, but it often takes some time, to nail the product. So you never nail it the first time. But we didn't kind of understand that we needed some time to do the iteration and get some feedback, and then kind of develop the product further.
And that's also something that you have to inform the product team and development team about as well, because they need to know that, when we build this feature, this is not going to be one feature that's going to live forever. This has to be able to be adapted and iterated upon and changed. So you need to be prepared for that, because that's going to be quite a process. Yeah.
And how did you choose the pain points you want to solve for your customers?
So we always kind of have some major pain points, and that's the builders. They're often not on budget, and they are not efficient in their work, and they are not making money. So that's kind of the 3 pain points we wanted to solve. And then it's just kind of very easy to go and talk to the customers and ask, why do you think this is happening, right? And so we actually went on a trip in Norway and had the customer interviews and tried to kind of dig deep into the root. Maybe not the solution, but always focusing on the problem. And the problem was many of them was not digital, right? So they were on paper and pen, had very manual processes, was afraid of using apps because they didn't kind of was used to work with that in their workday. So just simple stuff that we actually been able to solve.
And that sounds great. And which features became the face of your product?
That's definitely time tracking.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've been struggling with that for a while now also, because it's kind of like a legacy product now, and it's it was really important for us when we were a time tracking company, but now it's more, we're developed into being more of a quality assurance system. It's more of we're a quality driven company, and we try to strive for the proud craftsman, and time tracking is not the killer function, but it has been the driving feature for us since the day one. So we do struggle with that right now, having that feature as a legacy, and everything is very tightly coupled to that product or feature. So it's something that we're working on constantly.
So you guys are about to change the brand positioning of your product in the nearest years, yeah?
Yeah, we have been working on it for a while, yeah.
And how do you want to promote it in the UK market?
Good question. I think
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I think because we actually did try to enter UK before, and then it was kind of focused very on the time tracking part. But now it's more focus on the project management part and how you can kind of earn money with our software. So that's kind of the big difference. So we're never talking about time tracking. It's just kind of a part of the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. So it's just part of the whole project management stuff. So that's kind of where we want to kind of focus the quality, and not focus the quality, but focus our effort so that the craftsmen can deliver better quality on their projects. Yeah.
There's also, I mean, when we go into a new market like the UK now, and we learned a lot from the first time we tried it, and we try now to focus more on, what is actually the focus of the builders in the UK, because that's very different from in Norway, where we have been working with people that are, competing with the very, not builders that is not very serious, and they try to, compete against this. But in the UK, it's very different. They focus more on actually being profitable, and profitability is everything in the UK. whereas it's not exactly the same in Norway. So we have to position the communication a little bit differently, the product a little bit differently, and of course the way the product impacts the profitability. That's the main thing we need to communicate. Yeah.
And it's also in a testing phase, right? So we're trying different kind of messaging into the audience with Facebook ads and Google ads. So then we can kind of see what's actually triggering the audience. So hopefully it will be on the profit and the project management part, but we're not 100% sure yet.
And which channels were the most resultful?
So far, I think it's been on social media, like Facebook.
Facebook ads.
Yeah. So that's the experience now, but now we're running separate campaigns on Google as well, trying to get them into a landing page and then try to convert them based on different messaging.
And how does it work?
It works like we have Svenn.com and we just have a landing page, and then we are trying to set up the messaging like very visual and trying to, now we're testing the message on efficiency and profitability. And then we are tracking everything with Google Analytics and trying to get them to sign up for a demo of the system. And then we will try to tweak that messaging to see what works.
And how did you involve people while the design process? How did you test it? What features will be expressed this or that way?
Yeah. Do you mean in UK or just in general?
Just in general.
Yeah. So that's we're very lucky because we have a lot of customers, and they are very what should I say, truly spoken and vocal, right? Okay. So they have a very high opinion on what we're going to develop. So actually we have 400 or 500 customers requests and are closely working with this group that is giving us feedback. So for example, now we're making something is called a scheduler. And then we do sketch something up, and then we're talking to the customer and trying to get their feedback on the design and also kind of the benefit of the features that we want to develop.
And what was the first user experience feedback after your release?
On the new design?
Yeah.
It was pretty good. They liked it. They liked it. But that's also a little bit funny because when our customers don't say anything, then they actually are pretty happy. And that's because,
oh, really?
Yeah, because when they are not happy, we definitely hear it.
And who are your top competitors on the market right now?
Well, it's really tough question because it's very dependent on what market you enter. So if you go into the UK, you have some very specific competitors there, as well as Germany, and then you have tons of different competitors in the US and in the Nordics. So it's very dependent on the market.
It's very local.
Yeah, you could say that. That's actually a great way of saying it. Yeah.
But that's what should I say? It's very interesting for us because there's no kind of leader in the market in Europe, because the construction industry is very big. And we are targeting small businesses, usually carpenters, and therefore there's no one that's kind of been taking that market because it's hard to make software for them because they are very little technical. So we hope that we can actually be able to make simple software that can cover their work processes and kind of establish as the go-to brand in that segment in Europe.
And am I right that you are going to cover the broad areas of England, not the capital, yeah?
Wow, I don't know anything about that.
I think that's true. It's still in kind of the process of finding out maybe the
strategy of going into the market, yeah.
But I guess that's something in there because there's outside in the capital of London, there's smaller businesses, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what we're targeting.
And what your business model look like these days? How is it
subscription based? So you pay per license, and then you have different plans. So, for example, you pay amount for one license, and you will have new features if you go up on the plans. So it's feature-based pricing and license-based pricing.
And maybe you can give a piece of advice how to assure that the primary version of product will be perfect. What steps should the newcomers take to make sure that they will apply less changes than they could if they don't pay attention on the things that you could point out?
I think it's just important to kind of say that, or kind of be able to understand that the first thing you are launching will never be good. So if you're good, then some competitors will just kind of copy what you created. So you actually need to spend time on the solutions to make it 10 times better. So just kind of focus and time to solve one problem. I think that's the most important part. And when you have solved that, then you can move to the next one.
Sounds logical. Yeah.
It's logical, but it's also hard because you want to do everything, right? And that's some of the problems we had because the construction industry is very big, right? So we have so many opportunities. So it's just, all right, we want to solve this and we want to solve it the best.
And I think it's really like as product people, you have a tendency of building a product and designing a product that has all of these features that are genius on paper, and you believe that those are all going to be game changers, and then you don't stop. So you end up with this 10-course meal, and you try to serve it in 5 minutes, and it's impossible to do it, right? So if you change your mindset a little bit and say that let's test all of these meals one by one, and always have a mindset that each meal will have to be changed a little bit, and always prepare for that. And that's in terms of, the first launch you do, that's never going to be right. So you always have enough money to iterate on it. And then you have to continue doing that. So it's never evolving product really, and it's never going to be finished.
Okay, I agree with you right now.
And it's also about selling what you have, right? Because there's very kind of easy to sit down or now we just need to tweak this before we launch, right? So we need to actually be able to launch it and try to actually sell it, and then just iterate and iterate and iterate.
And can you name like 3 top UX research methods that helped you scale Svenn?
Yes, we started with the kind of lean startup way of thinking, right? So that was very important for us to be able to move and iterate very fast. So that was the first one. And then we moved more into, or we tried with Google Sprints. Mm-hmm. And that was interesting, but it's more like a blend of both and also a little bit about common sense. And then it's also about user interviews. And what we're also using is pain points, You're trying to always focus on the pains and not the solutions. Because if you understand the pain enough and are able to kind of categorize them and work with them, the solution will come gradually.
Yeah, it's like a mix of everything with Google Sprints and jobs to be done and all of that. It's like, but the pain points, that's like the main thing. Yeah, just to find pains to solve.
And you guys make the mix work. You are the game changers, really.
Well, the entire team are game changers. It's a really big team effort.
And I want to say thank you for your time today and for being in this interview, in this studio. I'm really pleased to see you in live and to meet you in live. Yeah, despite of the work from home. Right. Yeah, and I think that we will keep working. Yeah. For more years.
Hopefully you'll have us.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you so much.
I think you will. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for having us.